Thank you, Mr. President. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Can I first say that this is my third meeting with you, Mr. President. First was one in April. Then I met you in New York for a brief while in Bishkek, and now this meeting. We discussed bilateral relationship, trade, how we can help each other. We have very strong old ties between Iran and Pakistan. Pakistan still remembers how Iran stood with us in 1965 when Pakistan was facing hostilities. Mr. President, I especially want to thank Iran, the government of Iran, for supporting the people of Kashmir. As we all know, 8 million Kashmiris have been put under curfew for over 2 months, and I really want to thank Iran the way it spoke out for this big humanitarian disaster that is unfolding in India. So I want to thank you.
و به ویژه جناب آقای رئیس جمهور تمایل دارم که تشکر بکنم از دولت ایران به خاطر حمایت‌هایی که از مردم کشمیر نشون داده، چرا که 8 میلیون کشمیری طی 2 ماه گذشته در محاصره قرار داشتند و این جانب تشکر می‌کنم از موضعی که ایران در خصوص این فاجعه انسانی در هند اتخاذ کرده.
Mr. President, the main reason I came over with my delegation was that we do not want a conflict in this region. Pakistan suffered 70,000 casualties in the last 15 years in the war on terror. Afghanistan is still suffering, people of Afghanistan, Syria, terrible devastation taking place there. So we do not want another conflict in this part of the world.
جناب آقای رئیس، دلیل اصلی سفر من و هیئت همراه به کشور شما این بود که ما نمیخواهیم که درگیری جدیدی در این منطقه بروز پیدا بکنه، چرا که پاکستان طی 15 سال گذشته از این درگیری رنج برده و 70,000 تلفات رو ما در جنگ علیه تروریسم دادیم و همچنین مردم افغانستان و مردم سوریه هنوز از تبعات تروریسم رنج میبرند. بنابراین ما نمیخواهیم که شاهد یک درگیری دیگری در منطقه باشیم.
Mr. President, we have Iran as our neighbor. Ties with Iran go a long way back. Saudi Arabia has been one of our closest friends. Saudi Arabia has helped us when we have needed, when we have been in need. And so the reason for this trip, that we do not want a conflict between Saudi Arabia and Iran. We recognize that it's a complex issue. We recognize that. But we feel that this can be resolved through dialogue. But what should never happen is a war between Saudi Arabia and Iran, because this will not just affect this whole region. Our 2 brotherly countries will be affected, but this will cause poverty in the world. Oil prices will go up. Countries which should be spending money on their human beings will end up spending money on buying expensive oil. So it will create poverty. So not just from Pakistan point of view, from all developing countries' point of view, that whatever it takes, we must never allow this conflict to take place, because we know, Mr. President, there is a vested interest that wants this conflict to take place. This trip, and inshallah the trip when I go to Saudi Arabia on Tuesday, I want to stress, is purely a Pakistan initiative. It's an initiative taken by us. We haven't been asked by anyone to do this. It is our initiative, and I repeat, because it is imperative that we do not allow a conflict to take place, because, and I again repeat, there's a vested interest that wants this to happen. And so I've been very encouraged. Talking to you, Mr. President, I feel encouraged, and I go in a very positive frame of mind to Saudi Arabia, and we will act, I repeat, as a facilitator, not a mediator, a facilitator. We would like to facilitate talks. As you mentioned during our conversation, in the past, Pakistan has hosted Saudi Arabia and Iran in Islamabad in the past to iron out your differences. And so we are again willing to do the same thing. We again want to facilitate our two brotherly countries to iron out your differences. And I repeat again, it's complicated, it's complex, but I feel it's possible to resolve these differences. And finally, Mr. President, when we were in New York, President Trump spoke to me, and he wanted to facilitate us to facilitate some sort of a dialogue between Iran and the United States. We discussed things in details. I know again there are difficulties involved, but again we will whatever we can do to facilitate this dialogue so that the sanctions are lifted and a nuclear deal is signed between the two countries. Again, whatever we can do, we will happy to facilitate. But we discussed in details the issues involved, and we recognize that Iran has certain issues about it. So this is an ongoing process, and if we can help, we will be willing to facilitate in the future.